guys, and welcome back to In the Sheets. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about confidence, but more specifically, I'm going to be talking about daily actionable things that you can be doing to increase your confidence. So little steps that you can do each and every day to start building on that confidence, to start gaining that assurance of yourself. And these are just really simple little things that you can implement into your daily routine, and they've made a really big difference in my life and in my own personal self-confidence. I'm doing this podcast because if you follow me on Instagram, you see that I have a larger following, but I also post a lot of bikini photos, lingerie photos, and a lot of modeling things. So I often get asked, how did I become so confident? Like, how am I so confident in my body, in what I look like? How do I love myself as much as I do? And the answer is, I definitely haven't always been like this. And there are still some times, even now, that I don't feel that way. But the trick is that I believe confidence is an attitude, not anything to do with what you look like. It's a complete mindset. So by adding in all of these little steps that I've been adding in over the past year, it has really transformed my own mindset and my own view of my own body, my own personality, myself. And it's just had these huge, amazing benefits on my self-confidence. So I used to be a really, really insecure person. I had literally no self-confidence. I was always doubting myself, always feeling insecure, always really feeling down on myself. And I used a lot of negative self-talk. And I think a lot of people who knew me a few years ago would know that I was always sometimes fishing for attention or for compliments because I literally felt so shit about myself and what my body looked like. I hated myself. So I would always be talking negatively about myself in the hopes that someone would say something positive or give me a compliment. And that was kind of how I dealt with my insecurities at that time. I relied on the opinions of others. So as you may be aware, that when you rely on the opinions of others for your own self-confidence, that's really a really bad way to go about that, because a lot of the time when that happened, if I got a negative opinion about myself, and as I did a lot when I first started social media, the negative opinions started coming in, it literally crippled my self-confidence. I became even more insecure than I already was. I'd had no belief in myself, and because I was a person who relied on the compliments and the attention of others to feel good about myself, now having a platform that evoked me getting these negative comments, it was just crippling on my belief in myself and my confidence. So I had to do something to change that. I had to stop relying on other people to feed my ego, to feed my confidence. And I started to having to look within to find little things that I could do to make me love myself more. So that's what this episode is going to be about. I am going to be listing off all of the things that you can do daily to help increase your confidence and to start loving yourself more. And a lot of these things may be really hard to do at first, but I promise you, if you kind of treat them like habits and little things that you've got to do every day, the more you do them, the more they build up, the bigger an impact they're going to have on your self-love. So tip number 1 is positive self-talk. Now, I know that kind of sounds a little bit airy-fairy, but it really makes a big difference. If you think about the way you talk about yourself and the way you think about yourself, and even the way that you may speak about yourself to other people, is that positive or is that negative? You know, if you are constantly talking about yourself negatively, constantly putting yourself down, using words and emotions that don't resonate with you, that don't feel good, that's just going to keep pushing your confidence down and down slowly and surely, day by day. You're just going to continuously beat yourself down. So if you start changing your negative self-talk to positive self-talk, it can really start to gradually over time build you back up. So for example, when I was younger, I would constantly say things like, I'm so fat, like, oh my God, why am I so ugly? Like, I would ask myself these questions. Why do I not look like this person? Why am I so unattractive in these sorts of ways? And by saying that to myself, multiple times every single day, I was just continuously reinforcing that belief that I was not worthy, that I was not attractive, that I wasn't good enough. And that was one of the biggest things that I had to work on when I started working on my confidence internally, was changing that negative self-talk to a positive self-talk. So it may kind of sound like shit at first, especially when you're in a mental state where you do feel really bad about yourself. You're probably not going to believe this positive self-talk, but I think the key is just to start pulling yourself up on it and to start catching it. So if you catch yourself thinking something negative about yourself or saying something bad, I think if you can kind of catch yourself in the moment and just train your brain to start saying positive things instead, over time, that's going to create a huge impact on your confidence. And it's something that you can kind of ingrain as a habit. You've just got to do it continuously over and over again. Keep pulling yourself up on it. Keep fixing those really negative patterns of negative self-talk. The second tip I have for you is journaling. And this one can kind of be hard if you have a busy schedule, but I really recommend journaling. If you can't do it daily, doing it a couple of times a week. There is just something really healing about putting pen to paper and writing down what's in your mind, what your thoughts are, and just giving them an expression. So a lot of the time, if we have a lot of negative self-talks, we're going to be internalizing that, and you can internalize that into your mental health. You can even internalize that into your body, and that's going to manifest as disease or injuries or things like that in your body, because your body holds on to tension and trauma, especially mental trauma. So if you don't have a way to express these emotions, you're just going to bottle it up. And we all know that there are plenty of people who bottle up their emotions and they end up exploding, or they just are very uptight, they're very rigid, they just are a very anxious person to be around. So I find that journaling is a really great way to channel those emotions in a healthy outlet. So if you are feeling down about yourself, or if there's something that's really bothering you, and it doesn't even have to be something that's negative, even writing down positive things is amazing too, but just whatever is on your mind, write it down, like give it an expression, really let those thoughts come out onto the paper and feel them, feel whatever emotions you're feeling, whether that be positive or negative, happy or sad. Feel those emotions and give them an outlet so that you can help channel them out of your body and out of your mind, so that you're not holding on to all of that trauma. Number 3, practice gratitude daily. So I'm a big believer in whatever you put out in the world is what you're going to manifest back in. So if you're constantly complaining about your life, you're constantly comparing yourself to others, taking everything you have for granted, and just not being grateful in general, I am a big believer in that you're just going to get more of what you're talking about back. So if you're constantly complaining about things going wrong in your life, I really truly believe that the more you do that, the more of that you're going to manifest back in. So by practicing gratitude daily and incorporating that into a daily habit, I think it also helps shift the perspective, and it makes you feel a lot more grateful for the small things, a lot more grateful for the things that you do have going for you in life. And again, like I said, whatever you put out in the universe, you're just going to get right back in. So if you express gratitude and you're really grateful for the things you have, and express love every day, I believe you're really going to bring that back in. But a really good actionable way that I practice gratitude daily is it could be part of your journaling routine. It could be in the mirror. It could be a post you do on social media or on your story or something. But just pick 3 things. Just write down 3 things that you're grateful for every day. But rather than just being like, I'm grateful for training, like I'm grateful for an experience, and just leaving it at that, really write down how that experience makes you feel. So for example, if I was to be grateful for my training that day, I'd write down, today I'm grateful for my training because it's making me feel very strong and empowered in my body. So write down the emotions and the feelings that you associate with what you're grateful for, because it helps you really channel that in your mind and feel that deeply. And you'll be able to go back to those feelings because your mind will remember the feelings, not the words. So if you can associate these really empowered or strong positive feelings with what you're grateful for, you're going to feel that gratitude more deeply. Next up is affirmations. Now, I know a few people listening are probably being like, oh, this is a load of bullshit. Affirmations don't work. Or you think they're this very sort of hoo-ha thing that just people post about on social media to get views. But affirmations really do work. And the key here is that you've got to do them daily. You've got to keep continuously doing them. So again, like with the positive self-talk, if you constantly say bad things to yourself, you're not going to believe the good things you say. So if you stand in front of the mirror and say, I am loved, I am worthy, I'm good enough, I love myself. If you've been saying, for years and years that you hate yourself, you hate your body and things like that, those affirmations are going to sound like bullshit at first. But I want you to just keep with it, because if you think about it, the neurological pathways in your brain have been conditioned to negative self-talk. So they've been conditioned to say bad things about yourself over God knows how many years that you've been saying these things about yourself. So you've built up these pathways to automatically default to saying bad things about yourself. So what the affirmations do is that over time, the more and more you do them, you're going to build up those pathways in the brain so that they replace the negative self-talk, and that you've ingrained a new habit, and your brain will automatically default to positive self-talk about yourself. And so when you say those affirmations over time, you start to ingrain them deep down in those pathways, and you start to really believe them. You start to actually live those, and they don't sound like shit anymore over time. So the key thing here is that this is a habit that you're going to be building. So yes, it's going to sound like shit at first, but I promise you, the more you do it, the more you'll believe it. And another really big tip is I really like to do my affirmations in front of the mirror. And this is the key part here, is I really like to make eye contact with myself. There's just something really powerful about looking in the mirror and looking directly into your own eyes. I feel like it just hits a lot deeper, and it just opens up this window to really pierce through to your soul, so that when you say these affirmations, you're really speaking to yourself. You're really like telling yourself, your subconscious deep down, that this is what you think about yourself. And I think that the eye gazing in particular really makes it more ingrained. It really just creates a bigger impact as you say these affirmations. So, you can start daily. Again, when I do my gratitude daily, I think this is a really good time to do these little affirmations, and it doesn't have to take very long. It could literally be a minute, but just stand in front of the mirror, really make eye contact with yourself, and start to say things that you want to believe in the future. Even if you don't believe them now, if this is what you want to think about yourself and what you want to believe one day, start saying them now, because you're going to have to put the work in to achieve that. So I say things like, I am intelligent, I love you, you're good enough. Sometimes, it depends on the day. I might speak, saying things like, you're good enough, you're beautiful, I love you, like speaking to someone, even though it's directly to myself. And then some days I may say things like, I love myself, I am beautiful, I am confident. It just depends on how I'm feeling on the day, but both seem to work really well for me. But yeah, the key here is that you need to be doing this a lot. So I try to do it daily, or at least a couple of times a week. And really, if you can, look into the mirror and look into your own eyes. Next up is environment. So surround yourself with people who lift you up. You want to be surrounded by people who think highly of you, who encourage you to grow, who encourage you to be better, who make you feel good about yourself. You don't want to be around toxic people. So if you've got some people in your life who continuously tear you down or insult you or put you down to make themselves feel better, and I'm sure a lot of people listening have a few people in their life like that, I really encourage you, if you can, to try and cut those people off, or just to limit the amount of time you spend with those people, because you are a product of your environment and you only rise to the level of your tribe. So what I mean by that is, if you have a really great community of, positive people who lift you up, people who are constantly wanting to be better, to grow, to just be better people in general, you're going to rise with them. You're going to better yourself. You're going to do the work to improve your confidence. You're going to do the work to improve all other areas of your life. But if you're surrounding yourself with people who don't want to do that, who continuously belittle other people, tear you down, judge, all of those sorts of things, you're never going to rise past that, because that's going to be the constant of the people that you're around. So a really, really big thing is to look at the environment, look at the people you spend most of your days with, most of your time with. Do they make you feel good about yourself? Do they lift you up, or do they tear you down and make you feel shit about yourself? So that is one that kind of takes a lot of deep reflection, and it's definitely not easy by any means. But if you have the ability to cut out toxic people, I really suggest you do that, or limit your time with them, because it really makes a big difference on how you see yourself when you are surrounded by people who love you and lift you up. Now, the next one is a little bit of a gray area. So social media, I know a lot of people love social media, a lot of people hate it, but at the end of the day, most of us use it. So something you can do to increase your confidence is to start curate your Instagram feed, create your TikTok if you can, to things that lift you up. So a lot of people feel really shit about themselves or don't feel confident because they're scrolling on social media a lot and they're comparing themselves. And, this is just a little reminder that majority of what you see on social media isn't real. Remember, it's just 1% of these people's lives, and it's what they're choosing to show you. So I think that's really important to remember. But, sitting there looking at people that you wish you looked like, people who have more money, people who are more attractive, I don't know, people who you think have a better body than you, the more you look at that, the more you're just going to start comparing yourself and feeling bad about yourself. So a tip that really, really helped me is to start curating your feed, your Instagram feed, if you can, your Facebook feed, TikTok, whatever it is, to things that inspire you, things that make you want to feel better. So follow accounts that lift you up. So if you follow an account that whenever you see that account, you just don't really feel great about yourself, you kind of start to compare yourself, just unfollow them. It's really as simple as that. Unfollow that account and replace that with an account that makes you feel great. There are heaps of accounts that I follow because they literally just bring a smile to my face every time I see them on my feed, or they make me feel good about myself. There's so many body positivity accounts, so many amazing female empowerment accounts. There are so many men's mental health accounts. There are so many amazing resources out there on social media. So I really encourage you to start following those types of accounts so that when you do consume social media, instead of constantly seeing things that make you feel bad about yourself, you're seeing things that make you happy. You're seeing things that make you feel inspired and make you feel loved and good about yourself. Now, the next one is something that I personally found really, really difficult at first because I just hadn't done it very much. So this one is schedule planned alone time. And by alone, I mean without technology, without any distractions. Now, this could be, just going for a walk on the beach. This could be lying in nature. This could be doing a hobby like something like painting or drawing or sketching or playing an instrument, doing something that you really enjoy, but making sure that you're doing it alone and without a screen. So without looking at your phone, without having the TV on, things like that. And this one, like I said, I found really, really difficult at first, I think, because it was like exercising a new muscle. I'd been using my phone so often before that I was almost addicted. So to get away from my phone was really, really difficult. And for me, what I did was I would do this by going for a walk every day. This would be my alone time. I stopped listening to music while I went for walks and really started to try and listen to my own thoughts, which was the really, really hard part. But this is why this little tip is so beneficial. Now, this doesn't have to be something that you do every day. This could be something that you do twice a week. But when you actually have alone time without distraction, you're forced to listen to your own thoughts, and that really helps you go deeper. So for a lot of people with confidence issues, and this was definitely the case with me, when I had this alone time and I was actually forced to deal with my own thoughts, it made me start to think deeper, and I started to ask myself, where do these insecurities come from? Why do I feel like this? And how can I improve this? So it really forces you to go deeper within yourself and ask yourself questions you may be avoiding or distracting yourself with other things like social media, technology, movies. By removing that extra stimulus, you are forced to deal with these questions and answer them. And the best part about this is, though it may be hard at first, is you get so much growth. So literally just by having alone time with my own thoughts and actually having that as something that became part of my routine, I was able to start being comfortable with my own thoughts again. And I think that is also a thing that a lot of people struggle with, is actually being comfortable with their own thoughts, actually being okay with just listening to their brains and seeing what comes up. So I feel like a lot of people, that makes them really uncomfortable, or they find it really difficult, which yes, it can be at first, but the more you do it, the more you do it, the better you get to know yourself, and the more you understand yourself and who you are as a person and who you potentially want to become. So this is something that I really, really, really recommend. It's been a really big game changer for me. So push through that uncomfortableness, and on the other side of that is going to be so much growth and so much more self-love, because you're going to understand yourself on a much deeper level. So going off of that last one, this one is a really great step that I think is really important. You can do this once a week, every day if you have the luxury, but prioritize things that make you feel happy. Prioritize things that make you feel confident. So really think deep down when you're doing some activities or things like that. When do you feel your happiest? When do you feel confident? Because I guarantee, even if you think you're the most insecure person in the world, or you always feel down, there will be something that sparks joy in you, something that sparks interest in you, something that really aligns with your values. And if you really think hard, I'm sure you will find an example where you actually feel confident, because we all possess all traits. So there is going to be some point in your life where you do feel confident, even if you think you don't. So for me, for example, something that makes me feel really happy and confident is dancing. So I really try to get to dance at least once a week, because I know that when I'm in that moment, when I'm dancing, I'm not thinking about my body. I'm not thinking about what I look like. I'm literally so present in the moment. I'm feeling so happy, so confident, and feeling so much self-love. And it's a really, really amazing feeling. So I try to really prioritize that, because it does create a lot of love for myself and a lot of confidence. And I feel like the more that I do these activities that spark that, the more I can start to transfer that love, transfer that confidence back into my everyday life and into my other activities that may not spark it as much. So this is something. So figure out, if you don't know what it is, really, again, this could tie into the alone time. Sit down and think about, where do I feel confident? Where do I feel happy? Or where is something that I do that makes me just come alive? And whatever that activity is, prioritize it more and really schedule it in. Try and do it once a week if you can, or once a month. Just actually try and get that done, because I guarantee the more you do that activity that makes you feel confident and loved and really happy about yourself, the more that's going to transfer over into your everyday life. Now, the next step is nourishing your body. So a healthy body is a healthy mind. And this isn't me telling you to eat healthy 24/7 and to never eat chocolate or never eat junk food ever again, because I definitely still do. But if you can try and maybe eat better 80% of the time and just make better choices with your food. So just try and eat, whole quality foods like real foods, meats, vegetables, good quality fats, things like that. The more you can feed your body with good things, the more that's going to transfer into your mind. So like I said, a healthy gut is a healthy mind. There's lots of research coming out these days that the gut is the second brain. And I thoroughly believe that. I think whatever your gut is doing has a really big impact on your brain. Just think about it. If you eat something like, for example, the other night I ate KFC and I had really, really bad brain fog the next day. I just felt really tired. I was really dizzy. So what you eat has a really big impact on your brain function and also your mental health. So if you want to start increasing your self-love and your confidence and feeling good about yourself, feeling more energized, getting more things done, start nourishing your body better. And you don't have to cut out every single bad food, but start just eating better, and you'll see a huge difference in the way that you perform. You'll see a huge difference in your energy, and honestly, just the way that you start talking about yourself will be improved. So the last little tip that I'm going to share with you is something that I do every single day. So this is something that's super, super simple, and it actually isn't anything to do with you per se, but it is something that has really, really helped my confidence and the love for myself. So it is compliment someone every single day. And by this, I mean, you could be out in the shops, you could compliment someone's dress if you think their dress is nice. You could say someone looks really pretty today. Just little things like that. I always say that it has to be a stranger, because that's where I've gotten the most growth out of this little exercise. So every single day, whether I'm grocery shopping, at the gym or something, I will go out of my way to compliment someone, to say something nice about someone else. And by doing this, one, you're getting out of your comfort zone. So it's bringing more confidence to yourself because you're pushing out of your boundaries, your comfort zone. You're getting uncomfortable, which in turn makes you grow. But the other thing is that, again, give out love and you'll receive it back. And making someone else feel confident, bringing someone else up, uplifting them is honestly such a rewarding feeling. And it makes, whenever I personally do it, it makes me feel really good about myself, because that I think their general joy when you compliment them transfers back over onto you. That energy is passed on to you. So whenever I compliment someone and I see the reaction, it just makes me feel really good about myself, and it makes me feel confident and really happy and love for myself, knowing that I'm giving love to a complete stranger, that I've made someone else's day, or I've potentially helped someone else, because you never know what other people are going through. You could potentially make someone's day, and someone could really, really need that compliment. But by doing one little simple thing, like by literally saying, you look really pretty today, that's all it could be. You're not only giving this person love, but you're giving yourself love as well. And I've just found that this in particular has been a really, really great daily habit that has helped my confidence, because I just get in such a good mood after I do it. And that good mood literally carries on for hours after, from that one good deed. And whatever you put out, you'll get back in. So if you give out more love, more positivity, you're going to get that back in return. So these are just some of the things that I do sort of every day to week to increase my self-confidence, and that I have been doing for the past year. And I have noticed huge shifts in the way that I view myself, my self-love, my tolerance for myself, and the improvement in my language around myself. And again, like I said, no one is perfect. I am definitely not perfect. And I still have days where all of this goes out the window and I completely default to how I used to feel about myself. But that is all part of the game. That is all part of the learning lesson. It's just constantly trying to improve day by day, constantly trying to be a better version of yourself each day. And over time, that really builds up to a lot of difference and a big impact on yourself and your self-confidence. So to recap all of the little things that I went over in this podcast: positive self-talk, journaling, practicing gratitude daily, affirmations in the mirror, your environment, surrounding yourself with good people, curating your social media feed to follow people who inspire you, schedule planned alone time to really get deep in your own thoughts, prioritize activities or things that make you feel happy, nourish your body. A healthy body is a healthy mind. Compliment someone daily. Whatever you give out, you'll get back in. So the more love you put out, the more love you'll get back yourself. And all of these steps are really things that I try to do all the time. And I promise if you start implementing them, you're going to notice big differences in the way that you view yourself. And I would really love to actually hear from you all if you start to implement these steps. I would love for you guys to send me messages about how things are going, what steps you're doing, what works and what may not work for you. I'm always open to feedback, but like I said, these are the things that have really worked in my experience, and I would love for you to try them out because I just know that they would really benefit a lot of you listening. So that is it for this episode, and I will see you in the next one.